Let's get busy.
Podcast at Baxter's. Good God. This is like my fourth one tonight, but you know what? I'm in it to win it. And I've got two fucking lovely ladies here. Kat, who is like, we've got history.
We do. I'm going to have to come on and talk about a happy, more lighthearted topic.
All right, you will. You're part of the Vixens, and I love you guys. You're badasses. You all had an incredible weekend.
We proved how badass we were this last weekend.
You had an incredible on different levels.
Yeah.
And we'll talk. We'll figure that out later.
We'll brief on that.
Yeah. Real quick, thumbs up for the weekend? You good? Totally good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
How much did you have to rearrange your work for the changes?
So, fortunately for me, after the Wizard of Oz, playing Dorothy and being on stage for the entire damn show.
You were Dorothy.
I was Dorothy and in heels the whole time. But I kind of took a step back, especially knowing that this was just a 3-day show versus a multiple weekend show. Yeah. And I was like,
that's a good point. Yeah.
I'm just going to kind of chillax a little bit on this, and thankfully I did. Other people were not as fortunate as I was. I did choreograph an all hula hoop piece that had to be revamped. We did not cut that. My solo that actually Ashley was going to sing live for me. I had nixed that and find a recording for myself of a song that I've used previously, and she just sang another song. And I was in 2 other numbers that had to work into the wee hours of the morning.
It was, I've heard the stories, and I wish I could have been there for it. We're going to do a true recap with Lisa, and you'll probably be part of that. But we'll get there.
We'll see about that, yeah.
But you lovelies.
Yes.
We got someone who actually made the trek from Indianapolis.
She did. She's
Naptown.
badass.
Do they call it Naptown? Do they still call it Naptown?
Do they do.
Pacertown.
Pacertown, yeah.
Colts.
Yeah.
Are you into sports?
Ball.
Are you a sports girl?
No.
No? No. No. Okay.
No, it's cool. I'm not into sports.
Okay.
I just,
just choose not to be into sports.
Yeah, it is a thing that happens.
She got a good look over there.
Thanks.
I like your color, your hair.
I have an art collection.
You do.
That's what I call it.
We'll do some storytelling with the ink, but Kat and Darcy are coming on. We're gonna get a little heavy here.
We are.
I'm all about good conversation. Nothing is off limits on the podcast, and there. In the last few weeks, or actually in the last several weeks, probably months, last couple months, there's been a I don't know what's the right word to put it, or
an insurgence.
There's been an influx, or just
I would say a big division.
Of some states who want to kind of conservative states. Who want to throw out? I don't know. Is it?
They want to limit women's body autonomy and our rights to our body. Correct.
And where we're getting at is, and we'll start. Alabama was really the state that kind of got this fucking ball rolling.
With a woman, nonetheless. With a woman governor.
Woman governor. I'm actually pulling this up. I'm on NPR's website. It's an old white woman. So let's who is probably as conservative as they can fucking get. But they signed a bill into law. When was it? Last month or so.
Yep.
For abortions that rape, incest, help me out here.
Yeah. And just before we go any further,
Go.
for anybody who is listening, we just want to give a mild disclosure of some trigger warnings.
Yeah.
Go
That
ahead.
there will be, some deep discussions, possibly personally stories told that we just want to make the listeners aware of the kind of discussion that we are getting into. But yeah, the whole. Yeah, I'm sorry. Repeat your question
it's-
because it's
The what's happening is
There we go.
these states are signing restrictive bills on particularly abortion, access to health care that's reproductive in nature at all. But specifically around abortion, Alabama is one of the ones that has one of the most restrictive,
most extreme. Yeah.
in which any woman who actually seeks an abortion can be criminalized with a felony. And any any woman who miscarries can also be criminalized.
That
Yeah, you can
that
be-
part fucking I like popped them fucking nose. Oops.
I mean, but it's
That
fine.
one blew my fucking mind.
Yeah.
A
You can be-
miscarriage
Yeah.
could be subject to
Yeah, something that your body naturally does without your will.
because sometimes your body knows that, hey, we can't fucking do
We
this.
can't handle
Yeah.
this right now.
We got to get
Yeah.
this out.
But
And this bill or law, whatever, can hold that
Oh, yes.
woman
accountable.
accountable
for murder.
for a miscarriage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they can now sit you down and interrogate you in an already emotional state to try to pry it out of you if you had any part of an intentional miscarriage.
Yeah. So if you, let's say, are a woman who just had a menstrual cycle and then engages in, sex with her significant other and gets pregnant and misses her period by a couple of days, which we all probably have.
We all do.
And, some of us don't even have a period every month. But, let's say you have like a glass of wine, or even worse, let's say you go out and have a night of drinking with your friends, like we do
And you don't know.
sometimes, and you don't know. And then you find out that you're pregnant, and then you have a miscarriage. So guess what they're going to tell? The courts are going to tell you that you're a negligent mother because you went out and had drinks while you were pregnant.
Well, hold that thought. All right. So if at that point, that based on that scenario you discussed, if the miscarriage happened, what would the court? Who would know though? I mean, seriously. I mean, hear me out. I mean, and maybe I'm totally off.
Oh, no, you're fine.
If you somehow, some way, you become pregnant, and you don't know this, and you're out doing your routine, and whatever you're doing causes a miscarriage. Who knows? Really, who knows that besides you and your significant other?
I mean, unless you go to a doctor because you are heavily bleeding and they find out that it is an actual miscarriage.
Okay, so that's the scenario. Is that there's a reason why?
But there's
all right,
but there's also no real correlation saying that your one night of debauchery with your friends is what caused the,
Yeah, absolutely
the
not.
miscarriage in the first
okay.
place.
What I'm getting at is that the visual I had is that you have this miscarriage and it's just in your house, and you're sitting on the toilet, and all of a sudden you see yourself bleeding. I guess that's what you just answered. You took it a step further. You went to the doctor or the hospital, and the hospital.
Let's clarify this. Have you ever had an experience with a miscarriage in your life? Because I mean, seriously, some miscarriages just look like a heavy period, and you're not going to
Fair
even
point.
know
And
that
you're
you
not
had a
gonna know.
miscarriage.
Right.
You're just going to say, "Oh,
That's what
I
I'm-
bled
okay,
extra this month."
That's what I'm getting at. I guess where I'm getting at is that at what point
Well-
would someone of authority or whatever would have factored into
Anytime
this?
you go to the doctor post a pregnancy, like a woman has a yearly or every 6 months has a pelvic exam, they're going to be able to know that there's going to be signs that your body went through the changes that indicated
Okay.
that it was
Okay,
pregnant.
fair.
So women's
Okay,
bodies
gotcha.
do that anyways. It's
Gotcha.
called false pregnancy.
Gotcha. All right.
Oh,
And
yeah.
even when there isn't
Okay.
a viable egg. And I mean, that's a whole other conversation, but there are signs that indicate that a body has gone through that. And so then doctors in states like Alabama are then responsible to the state to report that so that the state can then go and investigate that woman.
Right.
which, I mean, is a huge invasion.
And the other problem with these laws being passed is, you know, as a woman, if you're going to pass that and I'm now going to be criminally charged for a pregnancy that I
Sounds like
wanted,
it, right, yeah.
and I didn't necessarily do anything wrong, now I'm going to keep that secret.
Right.
And I'm not going to tell anybody, and I'm going to put my own health at risk.
Exactly.
Because if it's a further along pregnancy, like...
Right. This law would now make you think, well, I can't fucking tell them myself.
I can't tell anybody.
Right.
Yeah, because I would be subject to
Exactly.
breaking the law.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good God.
Well,
And
yeah.
here, let me add this for the record. Doing this podcast, I want to. I can't. I'm on their side. I'm truly on their side.
I wouldn't be on here if you were...
No, and but I have to ask certain questions. So if I come across as I'm challenging them, maybe so. But I'm not against them. I'm on the same page with them. But
Well, and I
we
would
want
also
to cover the bases.
I would also like to clarify that, like, I am here as a very strong supporter of Planned Parenthood and the work that they do, and I also represent a couple of social agencies in Indianapolis. But like here, talking about this, even though my views may be like that of my agency. And even those of Planned Parenthood, which I used to work for, you know, I am here representing myself. So I have a lot of information and I have a lot of backup and, academic information, but I'm here representing myself and not any.
Which is exactly why I called you, because,
right.
I wanted that input.
Right. So we're all giving our own personal. Well, I mean, not me. I mean, I represent the show, but but I get it. Yeah. When the Alabama, when they signed this abortion law or abortion ban into law, it fucking it was a shockwave through, the work for the states.
Absolutely.
And again, help me make sure I understand this right. When I first heard of this, read up on this, I actually didn't know the governor was a female.
Oh, yeah.
But I still envision that there was a room full of old white fucking men
please look it up
making goddamn
right now.
decisions about what's right
Have you
and
seen
wrong. About
the list of white men who signed off on this bill? Like she signed it and because she's the governor, but you should look up the authors and the people that supported it. There's 25 of them, and every single one of them is a very older white male.
I know, and I'm with you. I have a fucking hard time. And let's take it a step further. They're old, they're white, they're males, they're conservatives, they're probably Bible belting, Bible thumping, the Old Testament fucking shit.
Privileged
Exactly.
as fuck individuals.
And privilege,
But-
and that too.
Correct. But let's also not forget that I went on many threads online, and I've really had to hold myself back because it is, unfortunately, not just men saying this.
No, it's not.
It is women
Clearly.
also advocating this. And I also want to make sure to state that us being on here and discussing this is not us saying that, abortion should be illegal because we just want to kill babies. Like, no, it needs to be a safe, legal, medical procedure should that be a choice that a woman needs to make for her well-being.
Yes.
And
Well, it is a safe
Good.
medical procedure.
because-
It is one of the most uncomplicated medical procedures
Yes.
that you can undergo as a female. And yet we have all of this conversation about how, how it can be dangerous, and that is completely unfounded. So we can table that.
It's dangerous
conversation.
when it gets banned and we now have to resort to back
Yes.
alleyway,
Yes.
unsanitary
So-
shit.
According to the Amnesty International, which is a human rights group, there are 22 million quote unquote unsafe pregnancies per year, and unsafe abortions per year throughout the world. And an unsafe abortion is defined as an abortion procedure that is provided or done by somebody who is not a doctor, lacks the skills, lacks the tools, lacks the knowledge. So there are 22 million women and people with working uteruses who get pregnant and have the decision to abort and have to do so through unsafe means every year in the world. And that's 95% until now in underdeveloped countries. Countries that don't have laws in place and don't have like even the same caliber of medical laws in place that we have.
That's fucking scary.
And we're about to
Good
be
God.
in those ranks.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of this. Right.
because
I'm
of
with
it.
you.
Absolutely.
So with this, help me out with this. The Alabama and actually other states that have kind of followed
There's
suit.
9. Your state's not far behind. Neither.
I know, and that's fucking sad.
Yeah, it is.
With Alabama, rape, incest, basically, so what? That's their reaction, right?
It is, and there's actually an article
Good
that started
fucking
circulating just the other day that was put out by the Washington Post, and it was just written, within the past 2 weeks, of this woman who is in her late 20s or early 30s, and she has 2 kids who are the product of incest from her uncle. The abuse, the assault, the rape started when she was 12. And even though there's DNA tests proving that the uncle is the father of these children, which proving incest, which is federally illegal, she is still fighting for custody of her children against this man in the courts. So not only
Where's
is
this
she, this is in Alabama. And so not only is she dealing with the product of restrictive abortion law clearly well before this issue even happened, but now she is a prime example of what they are completely not addressing as a byproduct of these laws, which is the re-traumatization of people who have been sexually assaulted, re-traumatization of people who have been sexually assaulted by family members.
Yeah, by people you know and you're supposed to trust.
The people you know you're supposed to trust, and you've most likely been told to shut up and, just not speak about it, or not believed if you have spoken about it. And she has to see this man in court every 6 months to talk about their kids.
Yeah.
That she is raising and wants to raise and wants to be a mother to, but she has to fight this, I don't even know what the word is for this. Is evil? Like, that feels like an understatement to me.
Yeah, like I said, it's a very, very, very heavy topic, and and while all of this abortion ban is going on, we were talking before the show of things that we wanted to hit on, and there's so many different angles to this, but the root of it all is really the system on sex education, and being able to have easy access to birth control and to be able to prevent these kind of situations. Yeah, and then you have states like Ohio and I don't have the list directly in front of me, but the states that are like, oh well, we will make exceptions for rape and incest. Well, I know, I love her, but hello, Wake Up America, you've proven the last few years that you don't even believe women when we say that we have been raped.
Right.
So that automatically null and voids it, and so now you're also going to have to make this woman carry a fetus to a point that they can do a DNA test to see if it's incest, which is in and of its own also traumatizing. Like, come the fuck on.
All this right now still, unfortunately, proves the notion that there are states, there are people who still view women as secondary.
Oh yeah. 100%.
People who can't think for themselves. They got to do. They got to make all
second-rate citizens is what I think is the proper term. Like, we are treated like we don't have the same rights to our bodies, to our minds. So I am just a personal insight. I am both a woman who has had an abortion and a mom, and I was able to make both of those choices when the time was right for me. And I will never ever be more grateful than I am now as the supportive mom that I am to my son. because I wouldn't have been able to be that had I been forced to have a baby. So okay, so here we are. I've
How
had
old's your son?
He is about to be 1 on Thursday.
He's
No,
so cute.
I'm throwing questions out.
Do your thing.
No, absolutely.
At a certain point of your son's life, would you have that conversation with him that you had to terminate?
Absolutely. I would 100% have that conversation.
What do you
with him.
think your son?
With
What?
him.
What? No, not think, because you don't know. He's only one.
Right.
What if your son was, he
Well,
didn't go for that?
I hope to raise my son in an environment where
And I'm not
he-
calling you out.
Oh
at all,
no,
at all.
please. But this is
Yeah,
important.
no,
This is an important
it is,
conversation.
yeah.
So,
Yep.
I hope to raise my son in an environment where we can have conversations like that, because
Sure.
anecdotes are the best way that we
Absolutely.
teach. And so we live in this world in America where we are very existentially pure, but in reality, premarital sex is the norm. Over 70% of kids have had sex by the time they're 18, and clearly only a fraction of those are married. So I mean, we have this very weirdly dichotomous and very kind of backwards view of things.
Yep.
And so I hope to raise my son in an environment where we can talk about those things, because I know my son is going to want to have sex before he's married. And as a sex educator, I hope to be able to talk to him about, because I clearly can't rely on the schools to do it. I hope to be able to talk to him about, contraception and protection and those sorts of things, and to let him know that if his sexual partner happens to have a uterus and can get pregnant, that there are options for him, and how important that is for him as a potential father to be supportive of that, and why. But then to also explain to him, hey, here's my own personal story about this. I was in your shoes one time, and I've had to make these decisions, and my situation is even a little bit different than most women. Mine was for medical reasons, and that's in general perspective. Just so you know, that's a very small fraction of women who actually have abortions are for medical purposes, and most states do have an exception for that. Of the 9 states that have the most restrictive laws, even Alabama, who has the most restrictive law currently, there is a provision for fetal impairment and also the health of the woman. It's not important, whatever it is.
And down Kevin goes.
But just to circle back to the rape thing, of those 9 states, only only a whopping 2 of them actually have an exception for if the abortion is done because the woman or the person with the uterus was raped or sexually assaulted, or because of incest. Rape and incest go together. There's not a separate provision for both. If there's no incest.
I gotta put a blast out here.
Sure.
Yeah.
Alabama or whoever thinks that rape and incest is not an not okay. What's the right word? Appropriate means of doing the aborting a pregnancy. You fuckers are sick. I mean, goddamn. I mean oh my god.
Well, okay, so let me because we're on that, let me say this. So one of the agencies that I work for in Indianapolis is called IPATH, which is the Indiana Protection Against Trafficked Humans, and it's actually a coalition of agencies from the Indianapolis area and
Please
from
tell
around
me
the
that
state.
other cities are doing that same thing.
They are. They certainly are. And I mean, human trafficking is another issue, and we can get into that.
That's
at a later
that's
time.
a whole other
Scary.
segment.
That is so fucking
But
scary.
let me
I've got
drop
daughters.
this. Yeah. I mean, I've got a son.
Yeah.
We have tiny humans,
Yeah.
and they're all at risk, and it's a terrible thing. But let me drop this on you. So we have this epidemic of human trafficking, and let me be clear, trafficking does not mean coming into our country or leaving our country by means of a physical border. There are people who are trafficked out of their own homes. They live in their homes. They are trafficked by people that they know, and they live their life. They're kids that go to school. They are mothers that go to work, and it does not look the way that you think it does. So I'll step down off that soapbox. But
some kidnapping thing on taken
it's
on.
Not taken. It is, but it isn't.
Yeah, right.
So here we have this epidemic, this pandemic of human trafficking. It is Fortune has named it the top economy in the world, and it's a black market, but it is billions, like hundreds of billions of dollars in economy. And in the United States, it is estimated, and I use numbers loosely because numbers are a loose estimate, but it is estimated that at least 80% of people that are trafficked within the United States are United States citizens. And then take that out again, that it is estimated that a large percentage of those people are from rural communities, and they are being trafficked by their families and by their significant others. And so we are talking about white people trafficking white people, and let's take race out of it. We're talking about affluent people trafficking less affluent people. Yeah. We're talking about a clear abuse of power and authority. And these people are the people who are making these laws that are restricting abortion access, and they are going to parties and paying for sex with women and children and men, with boys.
These are the same fuckers that once their mistresses get knocked up, they're fucking going the abortion route.
Right, and they're probably coercing them into having an abortion, whether they want them or not. So
here's the other thing: is if these abortion laws do go into effect, guess what? They still have the money. To get it fucking done.
Right,
This is a target towards. In fact, like the lower income and more of a poverty area, because let me tell you, like growing up, I have my own tragic stories of what I like to call my incubators. She was never my fucking mother, who restricted me from having access to birth control until I was 18. And if it wasn't for Planned Parenthood giving me like very accessible and free birth control, like I How do I go about this without going on a severe tangent? Like they're trying to.
Your moment, baby. Talk.
They're just trying to defund one of the main organizations that are here to try to help people from having to make these kind of decisions. But it is so ingrained in everybody's head that that's all that Planned Parenthood does. All they
6% of what Planned Parenthood does.
That is nothing. They actually do family planning. They will help you get pregnant.
Well, you know, that's a good. Let's real quick. Give us just a quick synopsis on what Planned Parenthood is about.
Oh my God!
Real quick.
So I've been going to them for years.
Yeah. So help me if I forget something.
Because I'd like to be done by midnight.
So they do offer abortion services. They should offer abortion services because abortion services are healthcare. So what they offer is
and I was just gonna say, like, if I have my story as well, because that's who I went through.
Right.
So there's a process.
Whoa. You just threw this out here.
Yeah, that's fine.
You went through this.
Yes,
well,
I went.
You said you went through it before.
I went through this when I was 18 years old.
You did, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So they do offer abortion services. They also offer access to birth control. They offer cancer screenings, as Kat pointed out earlier. They offer assistance for people.
Non-sex stuff.
Right. So, I mean, if you, let's say it hurts when you pee and you don't know what to do and you don't have health insurance, you can go to Planned Parenthood and they're going to charge you based on your income to find out what's going on because, like, you know, let's get uncomfortable for a minute. People have sex, they pick up STDs or STIs. Some people never have sex and still pick up things that have issues. They have UTIs. They have, they can have issues that need to be taken care of.
And fucking all kinds of shit.
Yeah, and a lot of women, particularly because women's anatomy is completely misconstrued, a lot of women don't even know their own anatomy enough to be able to say, okay, this part of my body hurts, this may be going on. They need someone to tell them. So back to Kat talking about the not having the sex education, that this part of sex education is anatomy. So when I talk to women and they don't know the difference between a vulva and a vagina, I seriously don't know
It's getting real, y'all.
It is. Let's get uncomfortable for a minute.
We're getting uncomfortable.
There is a difference, and if you look at a naked female, what you see is the vulva. The vagina itself is like a tract that goes up inside the woman, and so so when you talk about doing things to the external anatomy, and you're talking about doing things to your vagina, that is very wrong, and most women really don't. And this is not a term to be funny, but they really just don't know, and that is a huge disservice to women.
That's a very good fucking point.
It is. So Planned Parenthood does education.
They
it's
do
enlightening / scary.
It is.
It
is. Let's also talk that they don't even always deal with your lady bits down there. Like, they will give you mammograms.
They will give you a mammogram.
They will give you
so
many services.
They'll do a scrotum exam. They will do a colonoscopy. They will check your testicles
not just
for cancer. They have services for men. They offer PrEP. They offer.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I've heard that, and I actually didn't know this until recently. I always thought Planned Parenthood was 100% female.
Nope.
And I heard that not too long ago, and I'm like, for real?
Yeah.
Again, enlighten people. There are male.
They offer male
absolutely.
services.
Yeah.
Clearly, they absolutely do. Because if you can't offer reproductive health services without offering
the full
isn't that kind
spectrum.
of a discrimination there or whatever?
Takes two.
Is that? Well, I mean,
repeat. I'm sorry.
No, they've got to. I don't know if I was right in saying that. They've got to accommodate male.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's discrimination if you don't.
Right,
but I mean, also,
Yeah.
you can't offer reproductive health care if you don't, like we were just saying, if you don't offer the full spectrum. Like, it's not reproductive health care if it's just for one person, because reproduction doesn't happen for people that way. So, yeah.
I'm out.
Okay.
I've got to go to the bathroom.
No.
Yeah, give me a minute. I'm going to pause this. Everybody, get a drink, whatever. We'll come back.
We're pausing, y'all. Be back in a moment.
Podcast.
Be back in a moment.
You know what? I'll leave that.
I will sass it the fuck up for what.
You actually keep talking. I'll be here.
So hi, y'all. Welcome to the podcast of uncomfortability.
That's true. That's true. I seriously. So there's a website that's like, I forget what it is. It's like things my child taught me, and and so it's like funny things that kids come home and they swear they've learned from teachers or whatever.
Yeah.
And like most of them are related to sex education, and I'm sure in a lot of cases are probably not far off from what they're actually told, but like the list of what these kids think happens to bodies is just hilarious. And one of my favorite ones is like, you can get a girl pregnant if you pee in her butt. Oh, whoa. yeah.
But that's. I wish that he was here. But that's what you and I were talking about is. Like the sex ed of everything, like the fact that, like we were just talking about, like women don't even know their own anatomy. Men don't even know.
No, men have complicated anatomies. That's fair, but I mean, so do women.
Well, what I'm saying is, like, they don't even understand our anatomy, but they think that they can write laws that pertain to our anatomy.
If you think women pee out of their vagina, like, please, let's have a conversation.
Yeah,
let's legitimately engage in a conversation, because you need you need to learn a thing or two. I don't care
what
if it's
a
your
urethra
vagina you're talking
is.
about. Yeah.
It's not the male part. It doesn't all come out at the same tubage.
No, it's not. And again, it comes out of the vulva in the first place. So. Yeah. But this is what I'm talking about. They don't teach women this, and it's a huge disservice to women. And I mean, part of it is this puritanical belief that it's up to the parents. Clearly, the parents aren't doing anything, because the parents think it's up to the school.
No, and that's what I was also telling you. Before we get on here, if he even decides to keep any of this, is that I had, and again I refer to her as an incubator. I don't refer to her as a mother. She was not a mother. That completely restricted me from having birth control and actually knowing about proper sex ed.
Yeah.
Which didn't lead up to my own personal incident, but it led to another one that made me even more fearful of sexual education.
Yeah.
So, Oh, we kept talking.
Good. I can keep that.
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
I mean,
Right.
if you
All right,
want, you
here's
can
the-
edit
here's
however
the-
the
no,
fuck
I
you
don't
want.
No, I actually prefer not to edit.
Yeah.
Makes it easier on me. At my age, my
We got to
bladder
talking about
fills up.
vaginas, and he had to go nervous pee.
I was like, no.
I'm just playing with you. I'm sorry.
My bladder is the size of a peanut, so yeah.
So Planned Parenthood could probably help you check out.
Yeah,
with
I was
that.
going to say, if
Indeed.
you have a problem, they can go palpitate.
They can go.
You know what? But I think I want to go, like, just hanging out with you tonight. I'll go up to Indy just to get my Planned Parenthood thing going on.
Well, for those of you who don't know, Planned Parenthood of Indiana is the same thing as Planned Parenthood of Kentucky. They're one coalition. It's called P-Pink.
Nice segue.
But it's important for people. It's important for people to know, and the way that we kind of like delineate that is by like regional, kind of like regional things. And so Kentucky and Indiana, unfortunately, Kentuckiana are pretty parallel on a lot of things, and that's that's unfortunate. But also you guys are a little bit more restrictive and conservative at this point than even Indiana is.
That's an Indiana
Y'all.
little. No,
Y'all.
you guys. You guys.
Oh,
It says Florence, y'all.
it does say Florence, y'all. It's a fucking sign. It's actually the water tower. It's such a misnomer too because it looks like a circus, and Florence is anything but a circus. I promise. I promise.
Is it Indiana or is it Kentucky?
It's Kentucky.
It is Kentucky.
It's Kentucky.
Florence, y'all.
Florence, y'all. Yep. So good. So good.
What's help me understand? What's Bevan? What's the states?
Oh, you guys.
Kentucky. You guys. There we go.
Sorry.
Help me real
Specifically
quick.
Bevan.
What's their take? What is our state story when it comes? to
I'm gonna let Kat explain that, but then I would like to
Jump
explain
in,
Indiana's
please.
as well,
All right.
because we have a pretty recent torrid history that's very similar.
and as she pointed out, this did kind of derive from the Alabama law that from what we looked up before we came here, that the percentage of Alabama law is more African American,
their population.
the population of getting abortions. What newsfeed, Google Matt Bevin, abortion ban, how it's going to help.
God. This idiot! I could not believe he said those things. What the fuck?
Keep going.
Let me compose myself. So he said that putting through this abortion ban is going to help the African American population because facilities like Planned Parenthood are in poverty neighborhoods and they are targeting them for abortion.
Yeah, and I actually believe I think he said disproportionate numbers of black babies are dying because of abortion.
And he was like, it's going to help I was like, you almost like a 0.0001% sounded sincere, but God damn it.
Yeah.
That is, again, and I'm just going to reiterate that Planned Parenthood are in these poverty neighborhoods or in those vicinities because they help people in poverty situations to get the health care and sexual education and contraceptives that they need.
Thank you.
Like,
it is your him
motherfuck.
say that,
I'm just going to drop that.
And when I heard him say that,
Oh my
my
God.
thing is that
Drop
I
the
think
ball.
I was like, God damn it. I'm like, stop fucking jacking yourself off to the shit
Well,
that you're talking
I don't mean to get
about.
political,
I mean,
but
God damn.
fuck.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, but this is a conversation that really actually isn't political and needs to be talked about. There is a huge intersectionality of the systemic racism in America that still exists.
Yeah.
that ain't going in.
entwined-
That's not going anywhere.
And
any
unfortunately,
percent.
it's not.
And I will
But
fight.
it is clearly
fight for
entwined with these laws because these laws disproportionately affect marginalized populations, including people of color, specifically women of color. Trans women, trans men, people with uteruses, anybody that has a working uterus that can create a viable pregnancy, these laws are affecting. But they're not just affecting them, they're also affecting men too, because women are becoming the incubators, but the men in these situations, let's think about a situation where the man also doesn't want the baby to be born because the man understands that if the baby is born, it's going to be a shitty ass situation for this kid. So now you have both parents saying, this isn't right for us, this This isn't right for this child. And the state is still saying, we're sorry. You don't know what's right for you. We do.
Yeah.
We do.
And let me also just, kind of touch base on that. And again, something that we had talked about. I don't know where people got this inclination that women use abortion as a meaning of birth control. But please, for the love of God, fuck off.
Right.
Fuck the fuck off.
Yeah.
Because everybody's like, oh, I don't want my tax dollars paying for this. Well, let me educate you. I'm pretty sure that the only time that your tax dollars are being used for that is when it is medically necessary.
Yeah, Title X indicates that it can't be used for that.
You have to pay for that out of fucking pocket. And that is anywhere between $500 to $800 depending on where you go.
Unfortunately. And again, I gotta just throwing this out there.
Yeah.
There is surveys, there's polls, there's research that unfortunately it may have only taken. I don't know.
Well, it's not tooken.
It's definitely that ain't
what?
no damn word.
On this show,
Let's double negative
all right,
that one.
You know what? Tooken.
Because we ain't
Someone,
y'all.
at least one person,
You all.
unfortunately, fucking acknowledged that they went to the abortion route just to
Yeah.
they did that. So
They did.
So for the means of covering their ass.
But
It took one, and then or one or however many, and then people's offices ran with it.
I mean, are you talking about women who have said that they had an abortion because it wasn't the right time for them to have an abortion? Because now we're talking about the right time to have a baby. Because now we're talking about the vast majority of women. But what Kat is actually saying, I think, is that these women are not having this repeatedly go on.
Repeatedly,
Yeah.
but I'm
they're
saying
not having 5 or 6 a year. I'm not actively.
Five, right, and I'm with you. I'm getting.
No, we know.
But it took one person. All right, that's our hashtag tooken.
Hashtag my dad is rolling over in his grave right now.
It's not the new Taken movie. It's Tooken. We're gonna make a Tooken movie.
We're gonna make a Tooken movie.
But unfortunately, who snorted?
That's me. Sorry.
She's my girl right there. She's all the way from Indiana, Naptown. No, it took in one person, one female, to play the I was careless and I knew I shouldn't have had sex last night, but I did with this guy at the bar, blah, 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 in the club, and we were having a good time, and I got knocked up.
Who cares? Who cares?
But, I know, but the point is that she sang that song, and then people just
so there's a woman now that has recently she started this, I think it was in Texas, and it's called the Heidi Clinic, and it's like this alternative to abortion clinic. And she decided, so the Heidi Clinic is it's a foundation this woman started. She had an abortion before I think a long time ago, and she decided that she was upset about that decision, as she is clearly entitled to do. So she decided that this baby that she would have had, her name would have been Heidi. And so the Heidi Foundation is a foundation that is supposed to help guide women to other choices.
She already knew the baby's name.
Yes. So they're supposed to guide, we're going to just skim over that, guide women to other decisions other than abortion. So she has used her story of I had an abortion that I regret. Okay. That's totally fair. You are welcome to regret your abortion. I'm sure there are other women who regret their abortion, and that's fine. But the life that this woman leads, being able to form this foundation that she has, probably wouldn't have occurred if she'd have had her baby. And she's she's completely overlooking that. But anyway, so Netflix, in an attempt to be bipartisan, put this documentary about this woman's story out. It's called Unplanned. You can go and watch it. I have not been able to bring myself to do so, but I know the story. So this is now being touted among specifically religious conservatives as the abortion story. This is, of course, representative of all women who have an abortion, right? So here's this rich, white Texas woman who had an abortion and she regrets it. And clearly that's speaking for the entire population of women everywhere who've ever had an abortion. So those stories do exist, and her story is that she had a fun night and made a decision that she wished she hadn't made, and that was her choice to how she chose to deal with it. women who want to have recreational sex for absolutely no purpose are completely allowed to do that. And it doesn't matter if they want to seek an abortion. They should be completely allowed to do that.
All right, I'm with you.
Because it's their body. It's their choice.
It's their body. And, and this is just kind of one of those points that I want to make up. Hey, Kevin, I found out that you have the universal blood type. You are now forced to go and donate your blood in order to save other lives. Can I or cannot force you to do that?
Can't force me.
No, you can't. No, I can't. No, I cannot force you. Hey, guess what? You died. You did not sign your body over for organ donation. Can we or can we not forcefully take your organs to save other lives?
Not forcefully, but well, keep going. You're going.
But that's the point. Is everybody is so they want to label themselves as pro-life. No, you're pro-birth.
Hold that thought.
Holding.
And we need 3 shots. Yes. This has been fucking heavy. This segment.
It's a heavy one.
It is.
Y'all.
Jeremy, you'll be tagged on this podcast. One of them gets to make the call on the shot. So
can it be bourbon or whiskey?
Yes, please.
Something
Bourbon.
Brown.
We're doing
Old Fo's fine with me.
he seems so tough.
It's a caramely melty center.
I definitely bourbon. So.
Yeah, this is where I'm going to keep this on because this is good podcast stuff.
Good.
My man Jeremy, he's here at Baxter's taking care of me.
It's on the bourbon.
He comes up here and makes sure that my guests are covered with. So this particular,
Jeremy.
yeah. So we're gonna do it because this segment. She came down from Indianapolis just to come here tonight.
Yes.
And you know what?
Well, this is important. This is
This
important
is
that we do that.
And they're spending money here. Him and her and her husband are spending money here.
Kat may be spending money here.
Spending my money.
Whatever. Don't fucking matter. We're having a good time.
Oh, we are. We're having a great time.
Yeah,
You guys thinking Old Forester?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that's
what
fine.
I've been drinking. That's fine.
Hook us up, my
Whatever.
brother.
Before we cycle completely away, I want to talk really quickly about Indiana abortion law, and I want to tie that in a little bit with Kentucky abortion law. So Kentucky has recently jumped on this train a little bit more than Indiana has, in recent months. I want to denote that specifically. So Kentucky, Bevin has accepted a fair amount of dollars from corporations whom I will name if you'd like, but a fair amount of dollars from corporations who supposedly tout women's equality.
Just hope they're none of them are my sponsors. I'm kidding.
But their websites, if you look them up, say things like, we support women's choices and we support women's health care and we want to be progressive for women, and yet then they're giving your governor, for instance, money to sign these really restrictive abortion bills. And really right now what they're doing is they're being introduced. Kentucky hasn't signed anything, to be clear. So one thing that has happened in Indiana, for those of you who are unaware about our very lovely Vice President Mike Pence.
That's your boy.
Oh, is it though? Is he my boy? Because I don't really feel like he's
you know what?
my
I'm
boy.
gonna bring. You're gonna keep talking, but I'm gonna tell you what. I'm a huge Mayor Pete guy.
I'm all about Mayor
Fucking
Pete.
love him.
Okay, let's pause. This Mike Pence is very heavy.
Yeah.
So let's just pause. We'll do our shot,
Yeah.
and then I need to tell you about what Mike Pence did for Indiana.
It's getting real up in here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No,
Are you
welcome.
okay?
He's not a fan. It's funny. A couple weeks ago, someone also did that. Made a big shot.
Oh, there you go. Well, thank you.
Took him a little while.
Yeah, I love it.
Love it.
So,
No problem. What were you drinking? You want another?
oh, I'm good. I'm good.
You good? Great.
So when Mike Pence was the governor of Indiana, and so he did a lot of lovely things. I'm sure we're all familiar
Did
with
he
RIF.
try the conversion? What was that?
Oh yeah, he's about conversion therapy for gays. That's great. He is, but that's all part of this. So he signed in what he called the Women's Rights Bill, which was actually at the time one of the most restrictive abortion bills to go on the books. And he did this overnight. He didn't talk to the House. He didn't talk to the Senate. There were specific people who authored the bill. There were specific people who then sponsored the bill, and then he signed it at like 2:13 in the morning, like completely under the radar. So we all woke up on, let's say Tuesday morning, and lo and behold, here's this bill into law now that says that Indiana, has all this restriction to abortion access, and there's clear there are clear steps that are laid out, So first of all, a woman has to now have 2 appointments with an abortion clinic. She has to go in 18 hours before her procedure to have a completely unnecessary ultrasound. She has to then be counseled on options that are not abortion, and she has to hear the fetal tones. So let's stop here and talk about fetal tones.
When did this go into effect?
This was 2016, 2015. Okay. Yeah.
So he was still governor at that
So he was still governor, yeah. And so he completely overstepped his gubernatorial boundaries. He knew he had done it. He knew the ACLU was going to step in, file an injunction, and slap them down. But so just as like a point of reference for now, so the Supreme Court in Indiana just now in 2019 heard and decided what they were going to do about this. So there are different provisions about restrictions to abortion. So you still have to come to the clinic 18 hours ahead of your procedure to have an ultrasound, and then you have to hear the fetal tones. So to put that in perspective, there are 92 counties in Indiana, and only 36% of them have abortion clinics. So if you're someone in a county that doesn't have an abortion clinic, you now have to travel outside of your county twice during a normal work week, which is a huge undue burden to women. You're missing work, et cetera, et cetera. Gas money, whatever. So you have to do that. So you now have to spend the night because you have to wait 18 hours.
Yeah.
And then your procedure can be the next day. So now you have to bury or cremate the fetal remains. You have to treat them like they're a person. And that is now part of all of these restrictive laws that we're talking about in these 9 states. So it's the personhood laws. Now we're talking about an embryo, a clump of cells the size of a quarter, having the same rights as any of the 3 of us that are sitting at this table, which is, clearly outrageous.
Which isn't it fucked up
right?
that if a fetus turns into a female, she has more rights as a fetus than she does as a human?
As a human, yeah. So let's just feed off that for a second.
I didn't think of it.
As a pregnant woman, you have less choice and autonomy over your body than any individual in the country at any given time.
Yeah.
Help me understand.
And that's the point that I was getting at when I was asking you about, hey, you found that you're a universal blood donor, or you found out that your blood type there's a shortage. I cannot force you. There is no way that you can be forced to save fucking lives that are already alive out of the womb and have fucking lives. Yeah. I cannot force a dead fucking body to harvest their organs to save living fucking lives unless they sign the fucking papers in order to do it. So now you are forcing women to literally sacrifice their body.
Fair. That's fair.
That is a sacrifice of our body.
It's more than that. I mean, as a pregnant woman, you are
somebody who went through it.
Yeah, you are completely leeching your body to this, and I don't like the word parasite, but that's what it is. They are using
definition.
Your body for nutrition. Women lose inches off of their height. Before I was pregnant, I measured at 6 feet. I am now 5'10" and a half because we literally give bone mass to create these babies. We lose blood to create these babies. And I'm not talking about we lose it and then we regenerate it. We give them
Is that
blood.
for real?
That's for real. That is for real. My teeth will never be the same as they were before I got pregnant. They are forever weakened.
Hey, Darcy, we get it. You're the ultimate team player.
I am. You better fucking believe that shit.
No.
Thanks for playing along.
Every fucking woman who ever gave birth is the ultimate fucking team player.
They are.
Exactly.
They are. But those are the things that we're not talking about, that women give up to be to be a mom, and even women.
It's not fair. It really isn't.
But I mean, even women who want that are giving that up because that's biologically what's necessary. But here's what's really not fair: are the things that are not biologically unnecessary to give up to do as a pregnant woman that we're not allowed to do. So let's just venture for a second into medical marijuana or marijuana in general and the reform that's going on in this country. As a pregnant woman, I can't, even in a medical state, I can't smoke marijuana, even if I'm a medical patient, because if I do that, then CPS, that's right, CPS is going to come to my door and say, guess what? You were pregnant and you were smoking pot, and now we can take your kids. And you know what? I love CPS. CPS does some really amazing things. I'm a social worker. This is not to be down on CPS because they are just following the laws that they have to follow. But that's it. It's an intrinsic problem with our laws. Pregnant women do not get to choose what they do with their bodies.
Nope.
Period.
Nope.
It doesn't matter how pregnant you want to be.
Let's also touch base on another thing, and this is something, and I'm pretty sure that this is what coerced you to get a hold of me. So I am a woman who I don't want kids. I was traumatized when I was 9 years old. That's a whole other story.
Really, you don't really still at this point.
I do not. I am 32 years old. I have known since I was 9 years old that I do not want children. Yes.
Can I pause? That is such a without
Good
harping
God.
on you. That is such a privileged question to ask, though, because
I've known for 23 fucking years that I do not want children.
Because men, and this is I'm not trying to criticize you, but like men specifically, they want to look at females and they want to be like, oh, what about your biological clock? You know what?
My biological
we
clock.
all have a
I can't
biological
wait.
clock,
That's
but
not me,
some
but
of us
I can't wait for it to click out.
Exactly,
Yeah.
but some of us understand that biological function is not meant for us to perform.
Yeah.
Well, where I was going, I respect that.
Sorry.
The fact that she said at 9.
I know the exact moment, and you know what?
9.
And it was funny because
Kat,
I
at 9, you knew that.
Yes, I knew that, and we talked about I didn't know if this story would necessarily come up, but my incubator, because I will not refer to her as a mother, she.
Hold on.
Okay. We'll get into it. I'm an open
going to
book.
play. It's my podcast card.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Help me understand your situation.
Yeah.
The incubator. I'm guessing you and Mom do not have a good relationship.
No.
Or what at some level? What was that all about?
Let me just.
What you can tell me
Without going into a whole other segment of my bullshit childhood, my father was amazing. The incubator, she should have never had me. I was her 4th kid, and I was the only one she was allowed to raise. And I'm just going to let that resonate for a little bit, and none of us have anything to do with her. So we'll just leave it at that. But at 9 years old, I had a babysitter, and she was pregnant, and I was infatuated. I was like, oh my gosh, there's the babysitter explained to me what was going on. She told me what was going on.
At 9. You were 9.
At 9 years old.
Women should know at 9 what their bodies can do. We need
at 9, really.
We need
really?
to
Yes.
be. We need to be having this conversation way earlier than we're having because women are viable pregnancies at 9.
You know what? You're bringing
You're
up a good-
viable pregnancies at 6 years
we're-
old.
6 years old.
We're going back and forth because I want to let me go back to the age thing.
Yeah,
So
we'll get back to that. But at 9 years old, my mother forced me to watch my babysitter have her child front row seat. I saw the whole fucking kit and fucking caboodle. I saw
the hospital.
Yes. I saw what my child brain remembers was a giant fucking crochet hook. Sorry, y'all. This is getting ready to get detailed.
We're gonna get real.
We're about to get fucking real, and this is why this needs to be important for women. But I saw the giant crochet hook go up inside of her and break her fucking water. I saw the child come out and rip her. I saw what my child brain conceived, and I know this isn't the right terminology, but the giant fucking salad bowl bring the fucking afterbirth out. I saw all of this.
Holy hell.
I am petrified of pregnancy. I am fucking petrified. I don't ever want to experience that. And
that would have left a mark.
And
yes.
it was that moment that I was like,
God.
I noped the fuck out at 9 years old.
And who in your
That's one of the.
who let this happen?
My mother. That is one of
Why?
because she's psychotic. Because that was one of the 3 things that I think I've ever fucking thanked her for. That is the best form of birth control ever. Ever.
Well, here's the thing. You and I got history.
Yeah. I love you.
I love you.
That's why
I
I'm
love
on
you.
here.
I love
That's why
you.
I'm on here. But this is like Dark Cat.
To hear you fucking... I'm sorry you had to deal with that. That's
You
all.
know what? But it's okay.
I've got kids.
But it's okay because you know why?
damn,
Because
it's
she
like,
was the
fuck.
she was the perfect anti-role model. I looked at her every fucking day and decided that I never wanted to be anything like her. My father was a fucking saint. My daddy was the best fucking daddy in the fucking
Is he
world.
still in your life?
He is not. He passed away 3 years ago.
Oh, okay.
But you know what?
God damn.
But he was my role model. She was my anti-role model. She was very abusive both mentally and
Unfortunately,
physically.
there is that yin and yang.
There is very
Yeah,
much that yin and
yeah.
yang. And then let's also go into the fact, fuck it. Let's put it out there for fucking everybody. I don't give a fuck at this point. Because everybody needs to know the different kinds of stories that are out there because every situation is fucking different. No woman's situation is going to be necessarily the same as the next. There is no blanketed term of why women have to come to decisions that they fucking do. When I was 16 years old, I was having sex with my boyfriend, and guess what? The fucking condom slipped off. I was petrified.
And you got pregnant?
No.
No. Okay.
But I was petrified. So I went to a friend of the family's.
Which
and I
is
was,
kind of okay. I mean,
it was okay, but the lack of sexual education for me, I got petrified. So I went to a friend of the family's and I was like, "Hey, I need you to go and give me Plan B. I'm 16. I have to have a parental consent in order to do this, and I know that I don't have that." So she went and got it for me, and guess what? She told my mother. Guess what my mother did? She fucking beat the shit out of me, and I am not allowed to have that. So let's fast forward, fucking when I am 18 years old, and the guy that I am dating at the time thinks that it's funny to purposely fucking take it off. I am one of those that legitimately fucking happened to. And he laughed about it. And he thought that it was fucking funny. Well, guess what? That's when I had to make the fucking decision of my life to make the best decision for me and going forward.
because I love and care for you, I want every one of those fuckers just to die.
You know what? And I have come to fucking
damn.
and I have come to deal with it. And you know what? And if it wasn't for Planned Parenthood and working with me to find the proper birth control that was right for me, like, you know, everything. I'm sorry, dude. You walked in at a hard time.
You too.
But if it wasn't for organizations like Planned Parenthood that everybody is trying to defund, like growing up, I didn't have, like, my dad was a fucking farmer, dude. He didn't have a lot of fucking money.
Right.
You know, I've
worked hard.
Yeah, he worked
got
hard.
it,
Yeah, and he did the best that he could for me. But I have been self-sufficient for, I don't even know how many years at this point.
Up until Mike showed up. And he is like taking care of business. Soundbite, Mike, I love you.
I love
He
you too,
knows
Mike.
who wears the fucking pants.
Oh,
I
whatever.
love you.
Mike,
No.
I got you, brother.
I love him. He's great.
He is great.
But so that's my story. You know,
So, I would like to feed off your story for just
Yeah.
a second. So
You're feeding off this?
Yes.
Good God.
So okay, so we need, as a country, we need to get uncomfortable. Like, it is stories like these that are the
You're
anecdotes
so fucking right.
of why we need
Yeah.
to have these
We have to-
conversations.
We have to veer to the
We
to the
have to-
extreme.
and let's also
to
not
get
talk
it.
about the legitimate sexual assault that actually
Right.
happened
And-
during all of that. But since I was
Right.
dating him and I told
Right.
my friends that,
Yes,
oh, well, you were
thank you.
dating him. That
Thank
wasn't
you.
rape.
Thank you.
Fuck you.
So let me
Fuck you,
just say
yes,
this.
it was.
Consensual, what starts as consensual sex can end in rape. It doesn't matter if a woman said yes 2 minutes ago. If she says no right now, it
No
is
is
not
no.
consensual.
No is no.
When
Men or women.
Men and women.
Men
I'm
and
sorry.
women.
I'm sorry. People, not
Yeah.
in non-binary.
People.
Let's not disclude our trans folks. Let's not include our. let's not disclude our queer.
I'm
folk.
sorry, but it does also happen.
Right. No,
you
it
know,
happens. It
otherwise.
happens
Yeah.
in all. It happens
If anybody
in all the
says no at
directions.
any fucking point, you fucking stop.
please, you do.
He brings my little.
So,
Why to enjoy it?
Here we are.
Here
Thanks
we
for
are.
taking care of it, Jeremy.
Hey, no problem.
Thank you.
That's what I'm here for.
It's what he's here for?
So we have this conversation of like consent that is kind of going on, but not really going on. So this is something I want to point out that we talked about a little bit before, and this is something that relates to my work with iPath. But we have these affluent people. So sexual assault is a flex of power and authority over a person. And so we have these people who have inherent power and inherent authority over us who are making decisions about, what's appropriate for us to learn, whether or not we can have contraception. That was non-consensual. We have these people with this inherent power and this inherent authority who are making decisions for us who are also gravely abusing people on many levels. So let's take NPR. Okay, they just released a report that said that in 2015 and since 2015, not in 2015, but since 2015, the amount of immigrant children that have been detained by the federal government that have been sexually abused ranges in the thousands. So we are talking about the lawmakers who are trying to enact this law condoning the sexual assault of children. And then saying, okay, I can sexually assault you. I can force you to do, whatever. But you can't have an abortion. You can't have birth control. You can't have your medicine. Now, according to the Trump administration, you can't have your English lessons. You can't have your soccer. You can't have your school. So we are effectively detaining these immigrants in these concentration camps, and we are feeding them to sexual predators. And I do not say this blithely. This is not a grave overestimation that we have confirmed cases in the thousands of people, of immigrant children being sold into sex trafficking within American government.
MAGA, baby.
Yeah.
So
fuck you.
Fuck you.
I'm going to kind of derail a little bit, but I also just want to touch base on, we're going to get into the segment of consenting adults who are also taking the proper routes.
Nice segue, because I was going there. Go
to prevent pregnancy.
Yeah,
and
who also get pregnant.
Hey, newsflash, America, birth control isn't 100%.
Neither are condoms.
Condoms
are not 100%.
You know what? And so...
Wait, can I ask a question? How many steps are there to putting on a condom? Legitimately, how many steps are there to put on a condom? How many steps?
How many steps?
To me, there's just one.
12.
Oh, there's
12?
12.
Wait a minute.
There are 12 steps.
Walk me through 12. Come on, no.
Oh,
bring it.
all right,
Come on.
bring it.
Because to me, it's like unwrap.
Okay,
Well,
but you...
I don't know how many steps. I guess.
Well, unwrapping is one, right?
all right,
So
is that a
there's
step?
unwrapping, there's unfolding, there's putting
right,
on. Like
yeah.
if you wanted, like basically most people say there's 3 or 4.
Make sure you pinch the end. As
You
you're
have to pinch
rolling
the end.
Down
You have to rip-
give room.
I don't pinch
Okay.
the end.
Okay,
There
guys.
you go.
Guys, okay. So you have to, first of all,
no
you have
offense,
to
but-
check the packaging, because if the packaging is torn, if there's a bubble, then the condom is no longer
Or
safe.
a fucking pinhole.
Or a fucking pinhole.
You know what? You know what you've done to me right now?
She just fucked your world up.
Last night is like just... my God.
Okay, so
Because I did all this shit last night,
So-
unwrapped,
what we're
and
doing?
now
you check
you
the
are
dates?
basically...
So what we are doing? So what we are
Hold
doing
on.
is proving.
I'm having an issue with this condom thing because I lived
I
this
know.
the other night.
I know you are.
Darcy,
12 steps, y'all.
why
You
is
guys.
there there's really 12 steps.
There's
of
12
condom.
steps. And most
No,
boxes
come
delineate
on.
between 10
You know
and
what?
12 steps.
No. I'm calling you out. There's 12 steps of the condom thing.
There's 12 steps.
You know what?
You know what?
Hold the phone. I will run to Walgreens real quick, and we will get the instructions.
There are 12 steps.
I will
Most
do
condom
not
instructions.
12
I will do
steps.
cardio right now to prove this.
Stop.
Cat
There's
does
not.
cardio?
Darcy,
don't do
come
cardio.
walk me through the 12 steps because to me there was only a couple of.
Well,
the
okay,
other
so
night.
most
So she's about to
people-
Google your ass.
I am, but most
Well,
people.
no, don't Google me. I want
Okay,
your.
so you have to check the package for rips and tears. You have to check the date.
There's a born on date.
There's a born on date, but,
Or-
but
no,
there's an
not a-
expiration date.
date.
And that's important because if you
40-year-old virgin.
Yeah, if
It
you
does touch base on that.
keep your condom
covered
in your
there.
back pocket or in your wallet and they're exposed to weather, then you really particularly need to be careful. Yeah, your condom can go bad. And if it gets too hot, that rubber, that latex in there, it's going to melt. It's going to degrade. Oh, yeah, pound your fist on the table, my friend. That condom that's been in your wallet since you were like 25 is not viable
Not good.
anymore.
Where have you kept her all my life?
Take it
She's
out.
badass.
Dude,
I love
this-
it. Keep
this
going.
bitch.
Come on, there's a few. Come on, give me other steps.
Okay, so you have to flip.
We're gonna shake up all the guys that are relying on condoms.
So you have
Yeah.
to open the package without tearing it. Without tearing it is a big deal because if you tear the condom when you open it, guys, it doesn't work.
Newsflash.
Newsflash. You have to flip it so that it's inside out because you roll a condom on inside out. Yep.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Yep. They put them in the package backwards. Yep.
You know what?
And then you have to pinch the tip. We already discussed about pinching the tip.
Yeah.
Then you're
flip?
supposed.
I did not
So then
know
you
the flip thing.
you have to roll it down. So okay, let's go back to the flip for you. So when you open a condom package, if you open what is the front side of the package,
See, at this point, I wish I had a cucumber and a condom. Just show.
I can fit a condom on an eggplant. So
Really?
I can. So
Yeah.
so
You're
just
showing off
so
now.
if guys, but this is real. If guys try to tell you that their penis isn't going to fit inside of a condom,
They are liars.
A condom will go from tip to elbow, fingertip to elbow, and not rip. And I'm not talking about a Magnum. I'm talking about a standard
Really?
Durex condom.
Are you serious?
100%.
Yep.
Do not
Also-
ever let some twat waffle tell you that his penis will not fit into a fucking condom. Yes.
So I can still brag about my thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Brag all
Okay,
you
because
want.
it's from.
Brag all you want.
So-
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So once you roll it down the shaft, you have to pinch the tip. Then once you roll it down the shaft, you're supposed to roll. You're supposed to stop, and then you're supposed to give it an extra tug because it tends to roll back up.
Yep.
So because of the way the condom works, when you roll it down, it automatically will roll back up just a little bit. So you have to give it an extra tug. We're up to like 8 steps at this point.
Yeah.
Right. You know that, right? So then you have to pinch the tip again. Step number 9. And then you have to give it a nice little pull up because if you don't leave room for the sperm, then it's not.
Here's the problem. I'm thinking, unfortunately, there's 12 steps. You're saying.
Yeah.
10 to 12.
10 to 12, depending
Give
on
and
the
take.
condom.
I might have blew my load before.
Right. I mean, and that's
you
most
should.
people. But the thing is
Mike,
that,
how many steps does it take you?
I'm getting ready to come here and be the stereotypical and be like, when do men ever read instructions?
right. When do men ever read instructions? Thank you.
I love you. I love y'all.
Okay, but can I ask you a
But-
legitimate question since we're here?
Right.
So like, how many times when are you married? I'm sorry. How many times when you're having sex with your female do you put on the condom versus your female?
At this point,
Because
Not
in my
lately.
because
Not
in my
lately.
relationship,
Not
in my
lately, because
relationship,
I
it's
haven't
like
had to.
damn near me all the time. Like I think maybe
Wait a
once
minute,
in the
wait a
past like 8
wait a minute,
years.
hold on. It's damn near for what?
I put on the
females.
condom almost every time.
You
So-
put it.
so
Wait a minute.
no-
Whoa. I'm hold on. You put it.
I put it on him. So like if we use a condom,
Yeah. Well,
I am-
here's the
I am
thing.
putting it on
You're-
him.
You're young. I'm in a different.
young?
I'm in a-
How old do you
I'm
think
a-
I am?
I'm in a.
She's about
I'm
to
in
school
a
you.
different age.
that's
bracket.
fine. How old do you think I am?
So hear me out. My point is
He
that
ain't going there. He ain't
no, we'll go there. My point is that at my age, the people that I'm engaging with,
There are women that have had babies late.
Kids, no, there's no kids. I'm at we're.
you
we're
can
at
have
the-
a kid until
I know
you
I
go through
can.
menopause. You can
can't.
have a kid until the day you die.
This
I
is very
can't-
true. My
no,
dad,
but
my
my
dad was
point-
50 when I was born.
It's very clear
50.
at my age.
50.
That shit is covered. There's no kid thing.
That's I don't think that. How old are you?
52.
There's not a guarantee.
You can totally still
I'm
have
sorry,
a kid.
but there's not a
And
guarantee.
unfortunately for me,
If your woman has gone through menopause, then
Well,
there's
I
a
don't
guarantee.
have a woman.
I'm sorry.
Women.
If your
I don't-
significant
Okay.
others.
I don't have a significant other.
Okay,
I
if
just have.
The women in your life.
how old are your kids?
Are you gonna? No, girl. My kids.
Yeah.
Stop the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
I'm a hater. I love it. I have 2 grandsons.
Okay.
I'm old.
No, okay, but here's the thing.
I was
okay?
2 when my dad was your age, and I
let's-
was his only child.
That's what I'm saying. This is not
Well,
a.
that in my face.
This
I'm
is
just
not-
saying.
This
I
is
get
not
it,
an
I'm old,
unviable
cat.
thing.
Saying you're still fertile.
Yeah, you're fertile.
Be careful, sir.
I have not been snipped. I actually.
You're still fertile
My-
if you're snipped.
I'm
Which is
pretty
another point
damn
that I wanna
sure
get to
that-
before we end this.
That I can
Yeah.
fertilize accordingly.
You can't. But let me say this. I am in my mid-30s.
How did we go from this to this?
Who fucking knows?
Because real talk, real fucking talk is what we are talking about right now.
Yes.
And shots of bourbon.
We've had a couple, right?
Yeah, 2, I think.
So
Well, one more is coming, by the way.
continue, but I definitely want to talk about men getting snipped versus
Yeah.
the women.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely
But-
want to touch base on that before we end.
All right,
Yeah,
we'll
and-
talk about that too.
But here's my thing. Like in most relationships where there like is never mind. I'm not even going to say in most relationships.
Wow.
In many of the relationships that I am familiar with, okay, because that is a
Yes.
very different schematic. So in many of the relationships that I am familiar with, if it is a heterosexual relationship and there is a condom involved because there is a penis.
Did you hear this? Condom
Okay.
involved in the penis.
Yes.
Oh, don't drag this poor soul into this.
So-
he doesn't know.
So in the
he doesn't know.
relation-
Run away.
Run away, yeah.
Run away. Run away, baby. Run away.
In the relationships that I am familiar with that are heterosexual, where there are condoms involved in sex, so it is overwhelmingly the woman who puts the condom on the male. And that is not necessarily any form of any form of manipulation or criticism or anything like that. It is, I mean, it's sexy. I enjoy it. Like if we're going to stop and have to put on a condom anyways, it may as well be me because I can do it way more sexy than you can.
Are you familiar with the rhythm method?
Are you familiar with the rhythm method?
I was back in the day.
Did you have a kid?
Kinda.
Yeah.
No. You know what? Let me retract that.
It finally got fun,
Rhythm
y'all.
method? No, I actually did not have a kid with the rhythm method. Here's the thing. I had a son.
With the rhythm method?
No. If my ex-wife watches this, she's
Oh, sweet
fucking
Jesus, I'm
bury me.
sorry.
She was like, it was Friday the 13th.
Of course it was.
And it was a December Christmas party, her company party, and we come back and we're having a good time, and she's like, she basically said, if you leave it in, I'm going to get pregnant.
Well, she knew. She knew she was.
Yeah.
She knew she was like in
And
that
she's-
time of her
she
cycle.
goes, if you leave it
when
in,
she
we're
was
gonna
really
get pregnant.
fertile.
She goes, I think you should take it out. And for some
Dummy reason.
I left it in. And I got my son, my only son, my one and only son, Mason. I got that from that moment. Friday the 13th.
Well, I mean, okay, so that's beautiful, and you guys were all you were there, you were cool with it, you knew what was going on. But the situation is for a lot of women that they don't know when they're the most fertile, and then
pointing at me?
I'm sorry, they don't know that they're fertile, and also the men don't know that they're fertile, and the men just want to get their fucking rocks off, and they say, you know what, babe, I'm gonna leave it in, and guess what?
There's a beautiful article that it's not even an article. It's a series of tweets, and I'm sorry, y'all. We're still getting real with it. We're
Closing
an
on hour and a half.
into this.
Good God.
but there was a oh my God, it was such a.
Are you driving the any tonight?
Yes, I got to go back to my baby at some point in the soon future.
It's only 2 hours.
We're about to wrap
Bring
it
it,
up.
right.
But there was a beautiful tweet series here that happened that basically stating that all pregnancies are due to men.
Yeah, all
Because-
unplanned pregnancies are due to men.
Yes, and here is why. Because a woman does not have to have an orgasm during sex in order to get pregnant.
Right.
But she can have multiple orgasms during sex and never get pregnant if the man never gets off.
Let's now
Are
for
you
the
playing
general
that card?
No.
For the general audience, we need to delineate that there are manipulative women who do use babies and sex as a way to manipulate men. And,
Yes.
They
and we
do.
understand that, and we're not trying to be glib.
We understand that is absolutely a fucking thing.
What is wrong with you women?
What is wrong with you men?
No, I asked the first question, then you answer my
Well,
question.
you want to treat us like we're second-rate citizens, so what the fuck?
Oh no,
Darcy,
it happened,
do me a
y'all.
favor. Please, will you do me one favor?
What?
Can you go make me a sandwich?
As long as I can take a bite out of the middle of the deliciousness.
Yeah.
You know what? You will.
I have
always
done
do-
that. I have done that. You know, Gonzo.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm just gonna name drop.
Hi, Gonzo.
My friend Gonzo. We
Who's
love
that?
you.
Oh, yeah, who's Gonzo?
It's a friend.
No, don't fucking play that card.
It's literally a friend of ours. We were at a festival and he was like, "Kat, go make me a sandwich," and I'm like, "Bitch, all right." So you know what I did? I went.
Guy, girl.
It was a guy.
Guy.
And I went and I made him a sandwich and I cut it in half. And you know what I did to those two halves? I took a bite right out of the middle
Well, good.
of both of those fucking halves.
Well,
So
here's the thing.
That's it.
I'm
Here you go.
bringing us home tonight.
I have
We start. Hold on, baby.
One more.
We got heavy.
we did.
And-
We did.
and-
And it kind of got derailed a little bit at the end.
Yeah.
Well,
In a good way.
You know what? Right. It's just we're having conversation. There's no rhyme or no restrictions. We're having a good time. In summary, just summarizing the thing, the abortion thing. It's the female's call. It's the fucking
Absolutely.
female's call. God damn it. It's the female's call. I'm a father. I've got three daughters. Whatever my daughter or daughters say to me, I'm going to fucking support them.
Can we talk about that real quick in terms of victims' rights? Because if your daughters come to you and they tell you that they've been raped or they've been sexually assaulted, it is not your prerogative
Well, you know
to
what?
question them.
Here's a problem with that scenario.
You'd go to jail.
I was going to say,
Well, here's the
you
thing.
may be the
No,
type
no,
of man that
no, no. Because I'm kind of smart, I won't go to jail because I will have manipulated the system. I will go to my buddies and say, we all love my daughter, suffered, dealt with a serious issue. This guy right here, he's got to fucking disappear. Who of my friends will make him? Hold on.
I'm listening.
And I'll be like, guys, somebody needs to step up. So in 2 days, I'm gonna wake up, and that motherfucker is ghost. He's gone, and people will make it happen. All right, go ahead.
But let's truly sum this up. Women need legal, medical,
Not legal, but
No, we need
Okay, no,
legal
you're right.
access.
legal access,
That's
safe
legal,
abortion.
safe,
You're right.
safe access to a hard decision that no matter what your reason is going to be made.
Okay.
And then on top of that, we're not advocating that abortion is a mean of birth control by any fucking means. Absolutely not.
If you know a woman who is using abortion as a form of birth control, and I don't mean by having one abortion because she had a mistaken evening. I'm talking a woman who repetitively has an abortion because she repetitively gets pregnant and makes the
I know
choice to
thousands
terminate.
of women, and I can't name one.
I can't name one.
I can't name
Exactly.
one.
I can't name one.
And trust me, we share our stories, and I can't name one.
Yeah.
Zero.
Zero.
Because the decision, no matter how good you know it is for yourself to terminate a pregnancy, the decision to do that is
Fucking
so
sucks.
traumatic and sucks so much.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
that most women I know will never ever make that decision twice.
Okay. All right.
Even if they're in a relatively similar situation, will never make that same decision twice, because it and let's take away the emotional aspect of it. It is physically taxing on your body, and most women are not able to endure that multiple times.
Gotcha.
And then on top of that, you know, if we are a country that fuck my life wants to move forward with this bullshit, we need to focus on. I don't want to say the problem, because it's not our problem. It's the system's problem of lack of sex education, lack of
social services. Let's take care of the people who are already born,
who are already here.
Like you want all these
That's
babies
a
and then
very-
born.
Actually, that's a very good point that I think gets lost in the whole.
The whole thing.
Most people who are for abortion
Take care of the
restriction,
moment. Stop fucking dealing with
Yeah.
the future.
Well, and most people who are for restrictive abortion are not willing to support through federal dollars like Medicaid, food stamps, TANF, any of that stuff. They're not willing to support those kids once they're born. And that is a huge problem, because now we have these people who are forcing these women to have these kids. These women are saying we can't support them, and the government is saying, but you're going to have them anyways. And then we have these social services that are saying, but we're not going to help you either.
We're not going to help you either.
Yeah.
And then we also need to look at the percentages of consensual sex of two people that consensual, like we agree that we do not want a kid, but birth control is not 100%. Then we also need to look at the fact, and this is what I wanted to kind of circle around on. And like I said, I believe this is the post that actually drew you to ask me to come on to this. I called out to 3 clinics here in Louisville. Women's clinics, like ran by all women's clinics. And I'm not going to name drop, because you know what? I completely understand their medical standpoint. But the moment that I called into them and said that, hey, I am 32 years old. I do not have any children. I've known for 23 years that I do not want any children. I am wanting to get a tubal ligation. I want to get sterilized. They downright fucking refused me. Downright refused me.
Carol.
And then there was one specific one that, because I didn't have a specific health insurance plan, they wouldn't even set me a fucking appointment.
Which is where the systemic issues come into play.
And I'm not saying that getting snipped for a gentleman is easy, but it's easier. It is easier. I do not have the choice for my own fucking body to say that I do not want fucking children. Please sterilize me. I do not ever want this.
This is a perfect segue, and I'm gonna jump in here real quick, because this point needs to be made, and we've negated.
We're winding us down.
We're winding it down.
We've negated these women until now. So, Kat is a woman that doesn't want to have children, and she is affected by these restrictive abortion laws. The women who want to have kids but can't have kids and undergo IVF are also going to be affected by these laws. Hear me out. Let me explain this, because it's a lot, but it's a lot because it's very heavy. So restricting abortion access means that we are agreeing as a country that life begins at a certain point. And right now that point is not a point where an embryo can be viable. So IVF, which is what women undergo who can't get pregnant, who want to get pregnant, is a procedure where eggs are like they are falsely incubated in a woman, and then they are harvested in an attempt to make that woman viable for pregnancy. So every time a woman undergoes IVF, she basically her body is forced into dropping a certain number of eggs. They want 10 at the minimum, because out of those 10, 3 to 4 are going to be viable. So what happens is they harvest the eggs, they harvest a sperm from the male donor, and then they implant them together in a petri dish. So if we are following through with this life begins at conception bill, all of those eggs, every single one of those 10 that woman took drugs to, very expensive nonetheless, drugs to hopefully become viable, are granted the same rights as you and me, and they become people. So now you have IVF doctors who are challenging human rights treaties that have been on the books since like decades ago, since like the 40s, saying that we can't do cryogenics because cryogenics, which is freezing human cells, is illegal. So if you're an IVF patient and you freeze your eggs and you freeze your sperm, you are violating those human rights treaties. And now you also have the issue that if you're a woman who wants to have IVF because you want to be pregnant, any egg that they harvest from you that is no longer viable is now technically an aborted fetus, and you can be held liable for, and you can be charged with murder for if it doesn't actually grow in the petri dish. And that is a huge problem. And I'm not going to name her because she asked not to be named, but I have a professor at IU who is actually a law professor, and she deals specifically with reproductive technologies law. And this is very speculative at this point because we haven't reached this point in this conversation where this is like where we're overturning these IVF laws because of abortion. But we are about to reach this point.
Yeah.
And the women who want to have children that are fighting tooth and nail and paying every last dime out of their savings accounts to have babies are not going to be able to have the opportunity to have those babies because we're restricting women who don't want to have babies from not having those babies. And it is completely backwards.
So, to sum it up, this is a heavy fucking conversation.
Yeah.
It is.
It is a heavy fucking conversation. And there's so many fucking aspects of this. There's no, like, we've been on for over an hour and a half. There is no fucking way to cover, there's no way to fucking cover everything.
With you.
At all. And we literally just scratched the surface.
Yeah.
Of everything that is going on and why these laws and restrictions are so, they are important.
Yeah. With you.
No, there are no ands, ifs, or buts. I don't care about your reasons. They are important. And, you know, as anybody, trans men, women, if you have a working uterus that can carry life, this is very fucking important.
Yeah.
And this needs to be talked about. And
I'm with you.
this...
Well, and just as a final thought, I'd like to say that to me, these issues inherently speak to the fact that we have one specific, like, moral code that is being imposed upon our country that clearly and through public...
Country, are you going political there?
No, I'm not.
Right.
So there are people from both sides of the political argument who have this same moral code.
I don't like Trump. Just saying.
I don't like Trump either.
Right,
and to be fair, I don't like Biden. I didn't like Hillary. Like there's a lot going on there.
I didn't vote for any of those motherfuckers.
But the issue is that we have this inherent moral code that is being, and this isn't politics, and in fact it's religion, which unfortunately is politics, but we have this moral code that's being imposed on our country that is completely negating people who live outside of particular religions, particular creeds, particular ideologies, which truthfully is the majority of the population of our country. And this very nuanced moral code, Mike Pence, is being forced on America, even though America has delineated through popular vote, through public opinion, through Gallup poll after Gallup poll that we don't agree with this. Yeah. So at what point are you going to be mad enough to stand up and do something about it?
FYI, religion in Mike Pence is it's not science.
No.
You know, hashtag science.
Hashtag fucking science.
I'm a fucking I'm an agno. I admit, what big picture? I don't know.
Who really does?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, truthfully.
But don't shove that fucking in Pence with. Oh my god, damn.
I mean, that's a whole nother podcast.
That's you. That's you guys. That's on you.
That's y'all.
Y'all.
He's about to bring you back down here, and I'm just letting you know. But the moral of all of this is that you need to have a conversation with whoever the fuck you sleep with. Of if this situation happens, what the fuck do we do about it? If you are somebody that's going to look at me and say, no, if you get pregnant, you have to have this kid, even though this is a one-night stand,
And please, before you even get to that point, have a serious conversation with yourself about what you do and don't know about your own sex, because educate your damn self.
Educate.
Because nobody's going to educate you.
Fucking educate.
Educate yourself about sex. Do not use porn.
No.
Educate yourself about sex.
Google is very informative.
It is. But nobody's taking responsibility for your knowledge except for you. And if you don't know what to do with your parts, figure it out before you go and try and wield them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Badass guy.
I know. I fucking know.
Damn.
Jesus. No. You don't understand. I was like messaging her last week. I'm like, you're still on, right? You're still coming down. And then like, it was like, what, 2 days ago? I was like,
Killed it.
we're still good, right?
She's
No, I
fucking
know.
killed it.
Like the moment that you asked me to come on to this, I'm like, yes, I have opinions and I'm very passionate about this, but
I love it. Yeah.
I knew exactly who the fuck I wanted to bring on.
Yeah.
There was no ands, ifs, or buts, fucking buts about it.
No.
So to that end, anybody that has you guys, anybody that's watching that has questions or wants my citations, I have a whole notebook right here that I brought with me of citations.
We didn't even
because
touch on it, really.
Yeah, I mean, but
didn't even
this
get
shit
to
is
that.
it's annotated, and I can tell you these things that I'm not just opinionating on, opining on, if you will. I am seriously using like researched academic evidence to tell you these things, and I have that information. So if you have questions, please.
You work in this.
I do.
But Darcy,
Jesus Christ.
you're saying all this and you're just rocking the sexy.
Hey, thanks.
I mean, you're a badass. I'm just saying.
Dude, she's badass. I love her so much. I've known her for a very long time.
We have, yes.
Again, when I do my podcast,
I'm going to be back, y'all, with a more enlightened.
this one can come on my fucking show anytime she fucking wants because she's a badass. Kat, I love Kat. But when I do a podcast, I want conversation. And when Kat and I were talking about doing something with the whole abortion thing, and then she said, I've got a person to come on, and I'm like, fuck yeah.
You know, and that's something that I know we're out of time, that we didn't even touch on, but I had another guest that I wanted to bring on, and unfortunately her calendar didn't like match up, but she does escorting
For clinics.
For clinics.
Well,
but she is the person that helps guide these people into the building and see the firsthand like legit harassment.
Gotcha. Which was my first guest on my night tonight.
I wish I knew that, because she totally could have joined us.
I will send you her information, because she is legitimately, she's like, I'm going to do it just to.
No, but we didn't even touch on that, and that's why this is such a difficult conversation to fit everything into one segment. But I definitely just want to say thank you.
Oh yes, thank
you for just even allowing this conversation to happen on this platform.
100%.
I love you dearly. I will forever support you. You're the best. You're the fucking best.
If it makes sense, I'll do it. That's just it. If it makes fucking sense, I'll do it.
No, thank you.